Well, this is pretty cool. Welcome, Faizi, to the Leaders Who Care series.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here with you, Mark.
Well, you say that to all the guys, right?
Absolutely. It looks like you have a great organization focusing on care and impact, and it's an honor to be here with you guys.
Well, no, it's our honor to have you here, and hopefully we can share some wisdoms and some laughter, and to all our audience. And how about if we first of all shout out to Stephen Ibaraki for introducing us.
Absolutely.
You know, he's the man when it comes to that for sure. And if you can briefly introduce yourselves, don't tell the whole story because then I'll have nothing else to do. So just about where you're from, your family, things like that, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, simply put, I have the privilege of leading and running Quorum Technology, a leading innovator in the cloud and software as a service space, with huge possibilities for impact in prosperity, job creation, providing access to a lot of software that are underused in the world, whether it's in environment, social progress, healthcare, telemedicine, energy conservation, so massive impact. So this technology also enables entrepreneurship. It removes the barriers to a lot of people to deliver their own software. So from that perspective, it's an honor to be leading such a revolution in technology innovation. I live in Southern California, Laguna Niguel, 2 daughters. One of them just moved out to San Diego, and the other one just graduated from UCI. So that's about it for now as a brief introduction.
So you are officially an empty nester now.
Half empty nester.
Half
yes.
empty nester, that's right. So, all right. Any pets?
No, we had a dog who passed away. Our daughter has a dog, but took the dog with her. So we are maybe more than half empty nester.
No,
but she's not too far away. So in San Diego, about an hour away.
No, that's perfect. That mom and dad can't just drop by in a minute, and but close enough to be around. So that's always right. Good. You know, you grew up in Iran, and you were educated in the UK and the US, and you know, I find we relocate a lot of people for talent finding positions, and that would be a culture shock for most people to have that type of relocation. And you know, because it's to say there's different cultures would be an understatement, and I've relocated a few times myself, so it can be somewhat scary, but it could also be super challenging and exciting. Wow. So what I'd like you to do, if you can, before we go even further, if you can share when you kind of discovered the infamous why.
Mm-hmm. When I was a teenager, my mother, who was highly educated, that spoke multiple languages, she suggested a book. She had suggested some other books in the past, like Les Miserables and others. So I had read about 1,000 books by the time I was a teenager. And she strongly recommended a book by Viktor Frankl, Man in Search of Meaning.
Great book.
And that book made a phenomenal difference. It highlighted the fact that it's not whether you found your why, but the fact that you gotta find your why. The why is important. The meaning is important. So that book influenced me to be on the lookout for my why. So my why became looking for a why, in a sense that was aligned with me. It was a personalized why. At the end of the day, it became the intersection of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. A lot of people put innovation and entrepreneurship in the same sentence. To me, they cannot be more different. A lot of people get a master's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship. I said, which one? Which one did you focus on? And so to me, part of my life was focused on on invention, then innovation as distinct by invention, and then leading to intrapreneurship within a Fortune 100, and eventually entrepreneurship. So that's a little bit of a preview of what we can further discuss, Mark.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books, by the way, where he really shares that there's meaning in everything that happens, including the bad stuff. And it's a spectacular book. So your mom, very wise lady. And it's very interesting how you distinguish between innovation and entrepreneurship and even an invention. Can you share how you navigated that journey? And it's a journey of life, which your career is part of.
Right.
And so you had the initial education, a so-called supposedly selected career that you had picked. Then you worked at HP, and then a SaaS startup. How did you deal with all the disruption and the real life changes and just that whole, as you said, that whole difference between where you thought you were going, where you are going, the difference between innovation and entrepreneurship, all of that?
Right, that's a lot, but let me find a way to get through it. So in life, I figured out what we value is important, as opposed to what our values are. A lot of people ask, what are your values? And that becomes a philosophical question as opposed to what do you value, which is much easier, more practical to address. What I decided I value is to make a difference, to be a good person, to make an impact, to serve. My parents both have found their why, and the why was I serve, therefore I am. That's how I can summarize their lives in different ways, making an impact in the society, in the community, and in the world. And observing them, I got a little bit of that. And my dad was the first environmentalist that I met. He was into conservation and conservation of energy, conservation of water, conservation, just respecting the nature and not waste. And and then reading a book on solar system and solar energy when I was in the 5th grade, kind of nailed it down that, hey, maybe becoming a solar engineer is a way to go that serves my technical curiosity at the same time, being a good person, being a responsible person, and in a sense, be respectful to the environment and so on. That led me to work with the University of Texas, Dean of the School of Engineering, to create a solar engineering program. And I was the first graduate from that program. And that was one of the first evidence, okay, there's some leadership here. You have a vision, you lead, even if the school you're in, they don't have a solar engineering, you create it and graduate from it. Unfortunately, when I graduated, the federal government decided solar energy is not that important, so the tax cuts were cut off. So the solar engineering field died for 2 or 3 decades. And as an immigrant, they said, like, what do you do? A friend of mine was working on his master's in computer science. And he said, why don't you get your master's in computer science and software? And I really fell in love with software, the possibilities that it can bring to life and the way it could impact. It was different than solar, but it still served my value. What I valued was to make an impact, be a good person, and of course, making a living. And that led to basically a combination of engineering, solar engineering, and computer science that Hewlett-Packard HP hired me in Silicon Valley to work on the first real-time database. And that's how the journey started. And then later on, I did my MBA, ran the global alliances and partnerships for HP. And that led me to leave the Fortune 100 and become an entrepreneur. Part of that continuous journey, Mark.
Yeah, it's a hell of a journey, and what a shot an ability to come back from solar engineering. This is what I'm going to be doing, and holy cow, it's not here anymore. At least for that at that moment, you probably had to really you really dig deep on that one. How do you find, some, you get that thing people have, the light bulb comes off and it comes on, and then all of a sudden you got it. How do you find, or when did that light bulb hit? You kind of talked about it a little bit, but also what you talked about before, the entrepreneurship and innovation in the software industry. How did you find that impacting the culture within corporates around the world?
Yeah, two questions. So the light bulb went off when I was being interviewed about the real-time database we had created, invented. Myself and 4 other people, the 5 of us, invented the first real-time database, a database that was 1,000 times faster in reaction to the current databases like Oracle, Informix, Sybase, and so on. So being interviewed by a reporter about the impact of this invention, and highly patented and so on, and the comment he made the light bulb go off. And Chernobyl nuclear power plant meltdown had just happened a few years before, and the world for the first time saw the dark side of this great technology, nuclear, that can help in so many ways. And the person said, look, if Chernobyl had access to this real-time database that you guys just invented, it could have prevented the meltdown. And that was a moment that I marked in my life. I said, this innovation, invention is not just fun and games for a bunch of engineers, geeky. You spend time, invent something, you patent something. This business of invention, innovation has real life implications in a massive way. Imagine if this database would have been invented a few years before. Imagine if a nuclear power plant meltdown would have been prevented. And that was a moment that I took the business of invention and later innovation, when you apply business and process to invention, very seriously. I said, okay, this is one of the pillars that I don't want to give up. I've been privileged to have the education, to have the drive. So let's keep going in that direction of invention, innovation, technology. And then added the whole leadership of business, the entrepreneurship, HP. To your second question, HP had a phenomenal culture at that point, and it was driven intentionally by what I called humorously the 10 commandments. It was the HP way, and the HP way had 10 elements in it, including you're obligated, you're responsible as an employee of HP for the following 10. One of them was innovation. You're responsible to innovate. It's not just fun and games, and when you have a weekend off, you focus. It's part of your job. The other one was corporate responsibility, corporate social responsibility, because we don't do business in a vacuum. We do it in a context of community, society, and the world in general. So let's be mindful, let's contribute to society. That's why in the first year at HP, I joined Junior Achievement as a volunteer in one of the high school, Mountain View High School in Silicon Valley. And HP had sponsored that. They gave us time off to go and make a contribution to help some high school kids learn about entrepreneurship, building their own business. So it's a combination of different good values that, in my mind, creates great companies who are part of the society. They contribute, they invent, innovate, and be respectful to the environment that has allowed them to create a business and do business.
Yeah, it's a brilliant answer, because we've come a long way, but at the same time, I had this conversation recently where people were talking about how corporates in even a small community or in a large city, there wasn't this pressure to be CSR-ish. it just was that you took care of your community type of
Yes.
thing. And that's a mindset, that's a feeling, that's respect, that's all the keywords you're using there to make a difference. And we'll come back to it in a minute, because it's a really important point that we like to make. What I want to ask you on that is, what was your vision for Corin Technology, and when that came about, and the impact that you wanted to make, like economic impact, social impact, environment, all the types of impact that you and your colleagues were committed to achieve?
Right. First of all, Corin stands for Core Enterprise. It was designed by a group that created Intel Inside for Intel, one of the top 5 brands in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was the same way that Windows operating system unleashed the possibility of creation of millions of software applications on top of PCs. Without the Windows operating system, every individual who wanted to write an application, they had to write an operating system, which would have been 90% of the effort just to have a software application running on a PC. The same parallel notion applied to the next generation, which is cloud as infrastructure. Replace a PC with the cloud and replace the software application with software as a service. That is a software that is delivered as a service on top of the cloud, except there was no operating system for software as a service on top of the cloud. Imagine you wanted to write Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, PDF, but you didn't have Windows. We take it for granted that there is a computer there, the hardware, let's put that aside, but there is that operating system that governs how a software interacts with the hardware. And imagine if that wasn't there. The case with software as a service today is that case. There is no operating system. So 20 years ago, being the main keynote speaker at the first pan-European cloud and SaaS conference in Europe, that idea, the light bulb went off, talking to the likes of Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, and others who were also keynote speakers there. The idea was, what if there was an operating system? So Salesforce didn't have to spend 5 years and $123 million to create their own SaaS solution. What if that 90% of the effort were already done? You just focus on delivering your software as a service. So the idea of Corin was to create the as a service operating system and deliver it as a service. So anyone who want to create a software as a service, they can just plug it in, boom. It's, some people use the parallel of, it's the Netflix model for the software industry. As a movie producer, you don't worry about the distribution of your movie anymore. You put 100% of your effort getting the best director, the best actors and actresses, and the best environment to produce the best movie, the best film, and let Netflix or other services take care of the distribution. So Corin built that SaaS operating system that we believe would unleash a multi-trillion-dollar industry and empower a new generation of SaaS entrepreneurs. So the impact is creating millions of new high-paying jobs, and those high-paying jobs would create, I think the multiplier is like 4.5 for every high-tech, high-paying job. There's 4.5 other jobs that are created in the service industry, accountants, marketing, legal, and everything else. So one aspect of this technology innovation is creating phenomenal amount of economic prosperity, but also it would give access to people in a very economic way to software that is sitting on the shelves. In national laboratories, Los Alamos National Labs invited me to go there. It was an honor to go there and talk to these scientific leaders in the world. And I said, look, all these software innovation inventions created in conserving energy, conserving water, healthcare, telemedicine, transportation, distribution, they're just sitting there because it's difficult to write that operating system for them. to be delivered and be available and be accessed by millions of people in the world, that in a sense would help for their health, for the health of the environment, for their economic prosperity. So this invention hopefully would become a gateway and remove an obstacle for significant impact in the world by creating all this good stuff that would be the result of removing the barrier.
You know, as a former CPA and somewhat creative guy and whatnot, I mean, the way your brain operates blows me away. It's so amazing. So you're recognized in the same conversation as what I call the two Steves, you know, Wozniak and Jobs, not to mention, that fellow that did Microsoft, Mr. Gates there too. So what is that, you know, going back to your mom and dad and serve, you know, it reminds me of Descartes. I think therefore I am, except you changed it to I serve, therefore I am. What does it feel like to have been presented with that you know, that Cody Lifetime Achievement Award and thinking back to your parents, you know, achieving that, what does that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, getting such a phenomenally tremendous award from the Cody organization, people call it the Academy Award for the software industry, and they don't even give that Lifetime Achievement Award every single year. Mm-hmm. They look for someone to be worthy of that. So the fact that I was given that award that, as you mentioned, the Steves and other highly accomplished people have, it made me shocked and tremendously humbled. But it just distracts you for 5 minutes, and then you're going back to your mission. And so I was grateful, but at the same time, we have work to do. We are focused on it. And hopefully that recognition would be a flag to some people to pay more attention, that this it's not to me, it's for the team at Coran. I accepted it on behalf of the team, not only the team at Coran, but our partners, our customers, everyone, and investors. I have tremendous number of individual investors, family offices, who have invested tens of millions of dollars to support this cause. So the award was accepted on behalf of all of them, but then we have work to do. This is one of those things that, talking to Steve Jobs, he said, don't major in minor things, focus on making a dent, Faizi, in your universe, and your universe is a software industry. So for 10 years, I was searching for that dent. During the 90s, I met Steve 1990 at Stanford. So in 2001, in Rome, at the Waldorf Astoria, where the conference was, the first cloud SaaS conference in Europe, that's when the light bulb went off. That's the impact I can make. That is the major I can major in. So, so anyway, it's a privilege to have the opportunity to make an impact, and we are working on it. We have a lot of work ahead of us to make a vision come to reality, but this acknowledgement was well received in a very humble way.
I love the comment, don't major on the minor stuff. That's also brilliant and so true. We can get distracted by the minor stuff and not get something really important done. You know, we, even at Fifth Element, we work with clients on how they can strategically align all their types of capital to impact. And it really relates to our foundation is that business and business leaders can do even better when they are doing good, when they are making an impact. So what kind of words of wisdom would you give to up and coming leaders, current leaders and up and coming leaders, on how to go from the what you want to impact, how you want to impact, how do you lead and manage making an impact? Like you said, we still have work to do. And understanding that it really is better for business to do good at the same time. It's not you either make money or you do good. You can do much better doing both.
Yeah, it's a sophisticated question. So let me address it the best I can. So one simple answer is, for example, using the HP that I joined in mid-80s, HP was not the top payer in salaries. and it had the least turnover, the highest retention. Why? Because there was a culture of respect to the employees.
Right.
From day one, they told me, you're flexible. When you want to come to work, when you want to leave. There was profit sharing. 12% of the profit of the company was shared between employees. That made everybody accountable to everybody else. There was respect for customers. One of the 10 commandments were customer satisfaction. And we had to take a workshop in the first 4 weeks that we were at HP on HP Way. And one of the managers, not practitioners of HP Way, were teaching, not just bring in a trainer from outside. And the question, I asked a stupid question. I said, I'm in R&D. Why should I care about customer satisfaction? And they said, good question. Let me define customer. In our culture at HP, customer is anyone that needs your help, whether they want it or whether they know it or not. Like if you know someone needs your help, that person is your customer. You have to stop by and offer your help. It's a proactive culture of service to other people. And at the end of the day, of course, the person who pays the bill is also a customer, but they expanded the definition of the customer. And in that culture, people love to be in that culture. The right people love to be in that culture. So it creates retention. It creates social engagement. Diversity was a big thing. I said, well, why diversity should be one of the values? They said, we want to look like our customers in the world. We want to mimic the way the world looks like. In that sense, they're more eager to work with us, that if we are different than them. So we want to be respectful to the community, to the world, to the customers. So in that culture, you can find the best people, and you don't even have to pay them so much because they're getting paid in so many other ways. And at the end of the day, the money you save not paying them comes back to everyone in a form of a profit sharing. How beautiful that was. The whole system working together. Share. Another one is to define the stakeholders as opposed to just being shareholder centric, be a stakeholder centric, starting with customers, employees, partners. Even the FedEx person who brings a box is a stakeholder in the success of your company. Be mindful of the ecosystem that you thrive in. So it's a more of an expanded mindset that when we are more conscious, socially conscious, emotionally respectful for people, we just create a better business. People are more eager to work with us from a partnership perspective, from a supplier perspective, from a dealer perspective. But also we are part of creating a better community, better society. So it's all aligned along our good values. What do we value? We value innovation, we value good work, we value respect, we value being in a thriving environment. So we want to be a contributor to creating that ideal scenario for all of us.
I should record this. Oh, we are actually. Brilliance is simple. It was something a Deloitte partner told me in my early years of Deloitte. And he said, it might be a complicated journey, but brilliance is actually simple. And it sounds like HP should have trademarked the term leaders who care before we did, because that sounds like what they did. And I remember Jack Ma talking when he went public with Alibaba, and he said, you guys have it all wrong. It doesn't start with the shareholders. It starts with the employees, and then it goes to the customers, and then goes on and on. A little similar to what you're talking about, but I do love that definition of customer too. It's people who need or want or both your help, and we really need to care more about each other, and then the rest happens. Thanks so much for sharing that. That's fantastic. Last couple of years, 2-3 years, we've been through a lot. Mother Nature's been kind of pissed off, to be honest, about everything, and she tried to slap us in the head a few times. So one client told me in 2021, he said, the year 2020, it was like the year flew by slowly.
Slowly.
And I thought it was a brilliant line. And it almost seems like now even the same. 2020 seems like it happened yesterday and yet a long time ago. What are you most grateful for and what are you most hopeful for?
Yeah, I'm grateful that during the time of adversity, I focused on writing my book, Democratizing SaaS, Unleashing a Multi-Trillion-Dollar Business by Empowering a New Generation of SaaS Entrepreneurs. The book was there, but for a few years I had procrastinated or busy with work, but I'm grateful to Forbes books that they insisted that during this time, let's focus. And so we put that time to good work and delivered the book. It just came out several weeks ago, and the audiobook will be available next week. So that was one thing I'm grateful for, that we used that time of less social interaction, less travel, and delivered the book, which is a manifesto for Courant and the impact, the lasting impact it will make in the world with economic prosperity, job creations, information access, and so on. And also, we all sometimes focus too much on the external. As entrepreneurs, as leaders, we have to work on ourselves to make sure we emotionally are attuned. And they say the inward revolution, to be the change we want to see in the world, start from inside. So a lot of work from that perspective as well, in addition to pushing the technology out, making significant progress in an unbelievable way. So we believe our time has come. So we are very excited to lead this revolution in the next chapter of cloud computing, which is all about software and software as a service.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Your parents should be proud of you. I'm sure they are. And thank you for being a leader who cares. It's my honor and privilege to have you on here and to call you a new friend and to have an autographed copy of the book, by the way, also. So really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much.
It's my pleasure and my honor. Thank you, Mark.